House to see me because it was getting a lot of press that I was saying you're making a mistake, you'll destabilize the entire Middle East. Okay, they went to Iraq. It was a big mistake. There were no weapons of mass destruction. So they go to Iraq. Now they're there. They spend $2 trillion, thousands of lives, wounded warriors all over the place, wounded warriors who I love, and all over. And what do we have in Iraq? We have nothing. And I said, take the oil. Take the oil. You will agree, right? I've been saying this for 2 years. Take the oil. So 2 days ago, they started hitting the oil. Now, they're not going to take the oil because they're not smart enough. But at least they started hitting the oil. But the oil is a primary source of wealth for ISIS. So I said, hit the oil. But before ISIS, I said, take the oil. If we would have taken the oil, you wouldn't even have ISIS right now. You wouldn't have even had it. Yes. Okay, go ahead. Yes. Hold it 1 second. Go ahead. Well, I don't know if you can prove that they're Christian. First of all, I happen to be Christian, all right? I'm Protestant, and I would love to do that. Do you know that, but I have a proviso. You have to prove it. I mean, how are they proving it? Because I have a real concern that the people that are coming into this country are coming in for, some are coming in for very bad purposes. And they're coming all different ways. But they're coming in for some very, very bad reasons and bad purposes. If you know the history of Syria, we've been taking people from Syria, quite a few people prior to this whole mess that's happened over the last period of time. If you were Muslim, if you were a Muslim from Syria, you could get into this country, one of the easier places to come in. If you were a Christian from Syria, it was almost impossible to get in. And yet the Christians were having their heads cut off. It's the most unfair thing. This is during the Obama administration, and you can check it. If you were a Muslim and you came from Syria, you could get into the United States. If you were a Christian and you were from Syria, it was one of the hardest things to do, get into the United States. What's wrong with us? Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Trump, Worcester is the second largest city in New England, and there was a lot of talk about protests before your appearance. I only counted 15 guys outside in the second largest city in New England.
Right.
When you were in New York at Saturday Night Live, biggest city in North America,
We had almost nobody.
like 200 people.
Yeah, even less.
Who is
I like this question. You're right. I know what you're getting at.
making the fuss about these protesters? And if they're not drawing people to oppose you in a place as blue as Massachusetts, is this all overblown?
It's all overblown. It's all nonsense. So when I did Saturday Night Live, I heard about protests. So I sent my people out the day before. There were like 20 people. And it was all over the place, protests. Then the night of Saturday Night Live, I sent my people out. There was nobody. You know why? They all left. There were like less than, you said 200, there were like 40. But they all left to watch Saturday Night Live, okay? It's nonsense. But nobody reports that. But you do. That's why I like your question. And outside, I didn't even see any protesters. I'll tell you what I did see. I saw lines coming into this arena, which nobody will write about. I saw lines coming into this arena that were 4 or 5 blocks long. That it's amazing, actually, that the people that run the arena said they have never seen anything like this. There were lines, literally, that went all the way back 4 or 5 blocks, and people have said they've never seen anything like that coming in here. That's what I see. Well, as far as protesters, I saw none. You know, you may say 50, but I saw none. Yeah, oh, go ahead. Yes, ma'am. Okay. I heard it from many people, and I hear that that's the number that Obama would like. Yeah, and let's see if I'm right. Hey, I was right about the oil. I was right about so many things. I was right about Osama bin Laden coming into our shores. We ought to take him out. In 2000, I wrote a book, and I said, Osama bin Laden, you better take him out. He's a bad guy. That was before the World Trade Center came down. When Joe Scarborough saw that, he said, whoa, this is incredible. This is incredible. He said this before the World Trade Center came down. I'm pretty good at predicting. Yeah, I think that's what Obama wants. I think, on pretty good source, I think that Obama wants 250,000 of the migrants. I think he wants them to come in. Yes. I think the number is 250. You watch. I'll be right. I've been right. I've been right about so many things. I've been right about the oil. I've been right about Osama bin Laden. I've been right about terrorism. In my book, I predicted terrorism, which some people say was a better prediction than even saying Osama bin Laden is going to come here and do damage. And by the way, if they were doing their job, they would have taken Osama bin Laden out before the World Trade Center came down. That I can tell you.
You talked about shutting down mosques. You talked about shutting down mosques.
Yeah.
When extremism is being developed. Are you willing to do the same for temples, churches, and synagogues?
I don't see anything happening there. I don't see anything happening.
Religious liberty only applies
You know what?
to anybody that's
You know what? Because I have common sense, okay? When I look at the hatred, excuse me, when I look at the hatred, the unbelievable hatred coming from certain places, I want to use some common sense. And I'm not the only one talking about it.
shutting down mosques is a common
I'm not the only one talking about it. There's tremendous hatred coming out. And you know what? Radical Islamic terrorism is a fact. We have a president that nobody can understand. He doesn't want to use the term. Radical Islamic terrorism is a fact. Whether you like it or not, it's a fact. And it's a very gruesome fact. It's a very, very serious problem. We have a president that doesn't want to use the term. Unless you're going to use the term, you're not going to solve the problem. I don't even know if he wants to solve the problem, frankly. Yes, ma'am. German Jewish refugees? I would have taken them. Yeah, different story. Much different story. Much different story. They weren't going to knock down the World Trade Center. They weren't going to do damage. They weren't going to do what happened in Paris. Much different story. No, I don't think so at all. I think it's common sense. I think the reason I'm leading in every poll, and by the way, now more than ever, we had a poll today, 42%, another one at 38%, 38 Reuters. The reason I'm leading is because it's common sense. People are tired of being led by stupid people. Okay? They're tired of being led by stupid people. Okay. You brought it up, I didn't. Am I correct?
Yes,
Okay. All right. Well, it's an article. It's on the front page of the New York Times. It says he's incapable of learning. That's a pretty serious problem. I don't want somebody incapable of learning foreign policy. When we have ISIS, when we have Iran, when we have all of these problems, we made Iran a great power because of our president's incompetence and because of the incompetence of John Kerry. We've made Iran a great power. We've given them $150 billion. We've given them the right to go nuclear, as far as I'm concerned. And you're going to have nuclear proliferation all over the place. And we don't even get back our prisoners. And they can self-inspect. So we have done things that are beyond belief dumb, okay? When the New York Times, and again, you brought it up. I did not bring it up. But when the New York Times writes a devastating piece, not only the New York Times, there are many others. I happened to watch the show on Fox that some people refer to. And I frankly could not believe it. But when the New York Times says essentially that he's, from his top advisor and a couple of others, that he's essentially incapable of learning foreign policy, I mean, that's pretty sad. Well, excuse me, do you agree? Huh? You're a reporter, you're not allowed to agree. Okay. Wait, 1 second. Many people, top people, really smart people. And you know what? When they advise me, within about 2 seconds, I understand what they're saying. I don't always agree with them. Let me tell you. I don't always agree with them. For instance, I've been saying for a long time, if Russia wants to go in and bomb the hell out of ISIS, let them bomb. Now everyone says, you know, you were right. That was 2 months ago when it wasn't so popular. And I've been saying, why are we arming rebels to knock out Assad? Assad's a bad guy. But we're arming rebels who may be worse. In fact, some people think they're ISIS. And our administration doesn't even know who they are. So then everyone says, oh, well, Russia's not bombing ISIS. They are bombing ISIS. They just got knocked out a plane. They're really bombing ISIS, okay? They're really bombing ISIS. So I was right. I'm right about a lot of things. Marco Rubio, he doesn't show up to votes. He's now in California campaigning, and he's got one of the most important votes that he's ever had, having to do with this whole horrible thing that's happening with radical Islamic terrorism. And Marco Rubio is nowhere to be found. He's out in California. He's got the worst voting record in the United States Senate. And it's disgraceful. He should be voting. And I'll be honest, if I were from Florida, I'd never vote for him, because he's representing the people of Florida. He's a new senator. He's hardly been there. He's got the worst voting record. He's not representing them properly. And if I were living in Florida, or if I had a vote in Florida, I would never vote for him again. And I think that's why you probably saw the poll where I'm beating him very badly in Florida. If need be, yeah, we got to get rid of ISIS quickly, quickly. Not for a long time. Let me tell you what I really want to do. I want to get other people to put troops on the ground. And we'll back them up 100%, and we'll bomb the hell out of them. But I want to get other countries. And one of the things we have to do, I think one of the most underutilized and poorly treated groups of people are the Kurds. They fight. They actually fight. And we don't treat them right. We don't get them the kind of equipment. We give equipment to others, and a bullet's fired in the air, and they run. And the enemy takes over the equipment. 2,300 Humvees, armor-plated. One bullet gets fired, they're running. The Kurds have been fighters. Also, other countries. Now, you look at the Gulf states. They're doing very little. They're really doing very little. You look at some of these other countries in the area. We got to get them energized. We got to get them to fight. Okay? Yes, ma'am. I have a lot. Right. Okay, first of all, let me just tell you something. If we had people where we had a Second Amendment there, people would have had guns in that room. And instead of having hundreds of people in these different areas with no protection, no guns whatsoever, you would have had some people having guns, and would have been a quick shootout. And it would have been a very much better result than having hundreds of people killed, hundreds, 300 and some odd people in the hospital, some of whom will die. They had zero protection. Zero. If some of those people in that room who died so innocently and so horribly, if they had guns, they would have been able to protect themselves. So all of those people that keep talking about the Second Amendment, you better believe you're lucky to have the Second Amendment. I would have dealt, obviously I would have called the leaders of France, who I think have done, I thought the police this morning, the French police force did an excellent job, and I would have certainly started there, and I would have gotten together with them, and I wouldn't have announced that the project that ISIS just before that is contained. Obama says ISIS is contained. What's he talking about? What's he talking about? Before that, they knocked down an airliner. They knocked out an airliner, and they took immediate credit for it. Now they've done this. So I would have dealt, obviously, with France, and then I would have gotten everyone together. You know, we don't get people together. We don't have coalitions because we're too lazy and too incompetent. You know, putting together a coalition is hard. It's hard. But it's really something that's important. You have to spread it out. And I would have gotten everybody together, and believe me, they would have had hell to pay. The other thing I think that's very important, and I think the press is making a tremendous mistake, and I think it's very foolish of the press, and I don't think they do it intentionally, but they're being used. I see this guy who they called the mastermind. Everyone calls him the mastermind. You do. Everybody calls him the mastermind. He's not a mastermind. He's a low-form thug. He's a coward. There's no mastermind. This is no smart guy. There's no brilliant guy. He gets people to go into a room armed with AK-47s and all sorts of rifles and guns and everything they can carry, and he gets them to start shooting people. That's not a mastermind. That's a low-class animal. And what you have to do is stop using the word mastermind. People are told, oh, the mastermind. Because what's happening, because of the press and the stupidity of the press and the reporting, where they use terms like that to describe somebody who is not at all, probably if you gave him an aptitude test, he'd be at a very low level. Believe me, I guarantee you he'd be at a very low level. Not a mastermind. You ought to stop using terms like that to describe the leader of the pack. Because there's nothing brilliant about somebody walking into a room and shooting people indiscriminately. Okay? All right, one or two more. One, yeah. I think I have the greatest temperament. You know, I built a great company. I've built a tremendously powerful company, very little debt, tremendous income, some of the greatest assets in the world. My temperament is great. What we need is a strong temperament now. It's a stern temperament. I don't play games. But we have people, as an example, Hillary is not, she's not strong, right? She's not strong. She's not going to have the right mojo to do this, all right? She's not going to have it. Jeb Bush, I mean, he's so low-key. I said he is a man with very little energy. Marco Rubio, he's a lightweight. This is a total lightweight. This is not what we can have as president. We're going to be fighting people that we've never really fought properly before. We've got to win. I have the temperament of somebody that knows how to win. All you have to do is ask Tom Brady. Tom Brady already said Trump knows how to win. And he's a great guy and he's a friend of mine. But Tom Brady will tell you Trump knows how to win. That's what I do. I win. I have the temperament of somebody that knows how to win. All right, one more question. No, but I would. I mean, if the opportunity presented itself, I certainly would. I feel very badly for those people. But as a country, we cannot do what a very incompetent group of leaders wants us to do. Thank you all very much. Thank you. What? How was what? The Adele was great. Her voice is fabulous. Really, it was great. Because I love it. That's why. And I love the people, and they've been so supportive. And I get notes and letters and emails and everything from this area. And I don't know if you saw, but in Massachusetts, we have a 48 in terms of the poll. And I think second is what, like 9 or 11? We're 48. Second is actually, I think it was 9. It didn't even crack double digits. I love Massachusetts. I have many, many friends in Massachusetts, and it's just an amazing place. And I think we're going to do really well. Forget about in terms of primaries. I think we're going to do great in the general election. Go ahead. You've been having your hand up. Go ahead. If it's a nice question, good. Otherwise, I made a mistake. Right. They'll probably vote for me. Just like I'm going to win the Hispanic vote, and everyone says, oh, you know, a poll came out today in Nevada. I do great with the Hispanics. I'm going to do great with the Muslims. They understand what I'm saying. We're talking about safety. We're talking about safety. We're talking about security. We need it. Look what happened. Look what's happening all over the world. Look what's happening. And much of it is our fault because we have totally destabilized the Middle East. Much of what you're seeing in the Middle East and now going into Europe is our fault because we've had leaders that don't have a clue. But I think I'll do very well. Go ahead, back. All lives matter. All lives. To me, all lives matter. All right, what else? Go ahead. Some. Okay, here's the story. If Obama ran for election today, I think people would laugh him out of... I'm telling you, I think that Obama does not understand what's happening to this country. I think that Obama does not understand what's happened to this country under his leadership, if you want to use the word leadership. I think that Obama has been a horrible president, and he's doing this country a tremendous disservice right now. Tremendous disservice. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.